Isn't it raining in California?
Yeah, the climate is, I mean, drought, it's not as though droughts have no precedent in the history of the world. But what's more important than that it's not raining is there's a consumption of clean water, potable water from the water table that's not being replenished, and it's being pulled out at a faster rate than it's returning. And that's a recipe for disaster. And so we need to think more, sort of, dare I use the word, holistically about systems that manifest on this earth. And that's a relatively new way to think about the world.
But what do we do about it? Stumped, huh?
Yeah, I don't have easy answers. I think we need to be better shepherds of our activities and our behaviors. If you're watering your lawn, do you need clean, potable water to water your lawn? No. You could use the water that came out of your dishwasher. Your grass is not going to care. But we've set up a system that does not intelligently use even the limited water that's available.
Bigger question, why isn't it raining?
All I can tell you is that in the world, what we're going to find is more extremes of weather. Okay, when it rains, it's going to rain heavier. When it's not going to rain, it's going to rain less than it ever didn't rain before. And as these extremes, that's kind of the new normal we're going to have to grow accustomed to. And all evidence points to the fact that it is human-caused influence on the ecosystem, on the climatic system.
So cold weather will get colder, warm weather will get warmer, wet weather will get wetter?
Yeah. So the extremes, you'll start visiting the extremes. And what happens is, as the temperature rises, more moisture from the ocean gets lifted into the atmosphere. And generally, when we think of weather, we think of storms and things. And so now that when you have a storm, there's more moisture to feed that storm. There's more heating to drive the convective cells. And so the storm gets more ferocious. And we had flooding down here in New York. By the way, this change that people are talking about, it's not one day the ocean will just sort of come in and stay there on your doorstep. No, that's not how it happens first. It happens first where there would be a storm where there'd be a tide surge. And previously, the tide surge never really, maybe came over the sidewalk or the boardwalk, but that was about it. It went away. Now the tide surge makes it into the streets. And that's your first indication. These extremes are your first encounter with what will soon become the new normal.
Those who deny climate change, what do you say to them?
In a free country, which at least we believe, we tell ourselves we live in a free country, I don't care what you believe. You believe whatever you want. The problem comes about is if you are in denial of an emergent scientific truth and you wield power over legislation. That's a recipe for disaster. The person on the street doesn't care about climate change or doesn't, maybe we'll have a conversation, but I'm not going to lose sleep over that. It's when someone, an elected official, stands in denial of climate change, something that scientists have been telling them now for decades, and they're going to create legislation in response to that. That is the end of an informed democracy. The end.
I love when they say, I don't know anything about it, but
it's not true.
I don't know anything, but it's not true.
And so, by the way, I don't beat politicians over the head. You'll never see me arguing with a politician. You know why? Because politicians, representatives, senators, they are duly elected by a community of people, the electorate. So if they want to say the Earth is 6,000 years old, it's probably because their electorate thinks so. And so as an educator, my task is to educate the electorate so that they could then vote people into office who can make sensible legislative decisions that can affect us all and not derive from their personal, private belief system.